A quiet beach, now the stage for a geopolitical struggle. Waves lap at sand that a few hours earlier held only footprints and shells. Today, it bears the weight of boots, the thrum of engines, and the flash of ordnance as soldiers train to meet an imagined enemy on a shoreline that has seen real wars before. It is an all-domain exercise, which means it incorporated assets from the air, sea, and land. Jets scream overhead, ships loom beyond the surf, and armored columns push inland. This choreography is more than spectacle. It is rehearsal for a world where threats cross borders and domains faster than ever. Organizers describe a simple objective: practice integration. As one commander put it, what this demonstrated was our ability to integrate and work shoulder to shoulder. These drills are part of the annual Balikatan exercises, a long-standing series of maneuvers held between Manila and Washington. Balikatan, a Filipino word that evokes the image of shoulders side by side, has evolved over decades from basic war games into a complex multinational interoperability test. This year's iteration, organizers say, is unusually expansive. This year marks the biggest iteration to date across the Philippine archipelago. Similar counter-landing live-fire exercises have been taking place, staged on beaches and islands that would be strategically important in any maritime contingency. Or the Philippines, an island nation facing an increasingly contested regional security environment, the value of practicing amphibious defense and cooperative operations is plain. For its partners, the opportunity to operate on Philippine terrain, to navigate its littoral waters and dense coastal approaches, offers lessons that no simulation can fully reproduce. This year's drills brought together not just American and Philippine forces, but participants from several other nations, included this year Japan, the first time its troops have set foot on Philippine soil since Tokyo invaded the archipelago in 1941. That line uttered in the course of these exercises was deliberate, a reminder of the bygone era and the dramatic shifts in East Asian security relationships that have unfolded since. France too sent representatives, marking what organizers described as a new, more active role in regional exercises. We are also here to enhance interoperability with our partners and allies because the military partnership between France and the Philippines is growing year on year, one visiting officer said. We are also here to develop and train joint operational procedures. Those three sentences, two about partnership and one about operational training, capture two sides of the same coin. There is the political signal, alliances and friendships being reaffirmed in public, visible ways. And there is the technical task, learning how to operate together when it matters, down to the radio frequencies, the map symbology, the rules of engagement, and the timing of a shorebound assault under fire. Notable among those operational objectives this year has been an emphasis on unmanned systems. Drones, small quadcopters buzzing above the surf, larger endurance systems flying beyond the horizon, and unmanned surface vessels skimming the waves have been woven into almost every phase of the exercise. A planner explained the rationale plainly. The character of war around the world is changing, and we see the involvement of unmanned systems more and more in the modern warfare. So this is one of the aspects that we injected into this year's Balikatan exercise. That injection is not theoretical. It reflects hard lessons learned on recent battlefields. From Eastern Europe to the skies above the Middle East, unmanned systems have proved to be force multipliers, extending surveillance, loitering over targets, conducting strike missions, and complicating defenders' calculations. In Ukraine, cheap and adaptable drones have altered air defense planning. In parts of the Middle East, unmanned platforms have challenged assumptions about where and how attacks can occur. Planners here say they study those conflicts closely. They want to test counter-drone tactics resilience of command networks, and the integration of manned and unmanned assets in an environment that mixes littoral geography with dense civilian presence. All of this unfolds against a backdrop of broader strategic competition. The Indo-Pacific is a theater of rising tensions where maritime claims, economic outreach, and military modernization collide. For the Philippines, situated along critical sea lanes and facing contested waters, the stakes are immediate. For the United States and its partners, exercises like Balikatan serve multiple purposes. They reassure allies, demonstrate capabilities, and test concepts under realistic stress. But military drills are also political theater, inviting forces from distant capitals, positioning them on foreign soil, and conducting public demonstration. Honest of capability all send signals. They communicate resolve to allies and potential adversaries alike. They underscore shared interests, freedom of navigation, respect for international law, and the determination to work together in the face of coercion. And they create a record that can be pointed to in diplomatic exchanges and domestic politics. We trained together, we prepared, we can act in concert. Within the exercise itself, the choreography is meticulous. Reconnaissance teams use small drones to map probable landing zones. Surface ships provide offshore fire support and electronic warfare screens. Aircraft suppress enemy defenses and drop precision-guided munitions on simulated targets. Landing craft push through surf zones, while infantry and engineers close with the beach and clear obstacles. Communications specialists test networks under jamming conditions. Medical teams practice triage and evacuation. Logistics personnel move supplies across multiple modes. The whole apara, thus, is a test of interoperability, how different forces speak one operational language when the languages, equipment, and doctrines are not the same. Interoperability is harder than it sounds. Radios from different manufacturers can be incompatible. Map references may be coded differently. Rules of engagement vary by national policy. Legal constraints govern where foreign troops may operate, what weapons they may carry, and how they may respond to threats. Those hurdles are why training side by side is invaluable. It forces practitioners to resolve the small technical problems that could become fatal in combat. But there is another dimension, less technical and no less important: habits and trust. Soldiers need to build a sense that their partners will behave predictably under fire. That confidence is born from repeated joint exercises, from sharing mess halls and briefing rooms, from seeing a wingman come in low and land where expected, from knowing a logistics convoy will arrive on schedule. Exercises that cultivate those habits are as much social glue as they are tactical preparation. The presence of nations like Japan and France in these drills underscores how the security conversation has broadened. Japan, long constrained by a self-defense posture and historical memory, has gradually increased its participation in regional security initiatives. France, with interests in a global maritime order, has expressed willingness to engage beyond its traditional theaters. Their involvement signals that concern about maritime security and stable norms is not confined to regional players alone. Yet, the military hardware and the strategic signaling do not remove the human cost at the center of any conflict. Training scenarios deliberately include civilian populations, villages, fishing communities, and maritime traffic to force decision makers to weigh operational necessity against the risk to non-combatants. Rules of engagement emphasize avoidance of collateral damage. Medical simulations stress rapid care for wounded civilians as well as soldiers. Those elements remind participants that modern war, even when fought with precision, carries moral and humanitarian consequences. Beyond the beaches, there are lessons about force posture and readiness. The U.S. military, engaged in multiple theaters, must decide how to allocate scarce assets. Planners here have been explicit that they watch other conflicts for trends. Still engaged in the Middle East, U.S. military planners are studying ongoing conflicts carefully, readying themselves and their allies for a new kind of war, an exercise officials said. That posture reflects a recognition that conflict is becoming more distributed across domains: cyber, space, air, sea, land, and the electromagnetic spectrum, and that the ability to move seamlessly among them is a strategic advantage. That reality has implications for procurement doctrine and training. Militaries are investing in networks that fuse sensor data, in artificial intelligence that can triage information at speed, and in resilient logistics that can function under duress. They are experimenting with small, dispersed forces that can present many dilemmas to an adversary rather than a single vulnerable mass. Exercises like this become laboratories for those ideas. There is, of course, an audience beyond the participants. Regional governments watch closely. Markets take note. Civil society and media examine the optics. For citizens of participating countries, these events can be reassuring or disquieting. They may feel comforted that allies are present and preparing, or they may worry that increased military activity will heighten tensions. Both reactions are valid and part of the democratic conversation about security. In the closing days of the exercise, as smoke bombs dissipate and equipment is packed away, the beach returns to something like its original calm. But it is not the same place it was before. The sand carries EU tracks, and the people who pass through carry new experiences and shared references. Commanders debrief, soldiers exchange contact information, engineers tally lessons learned. The official reports will be written, the after-action reviews filed, the briefs given to ministries and legislatures. Some improvements will be technical, better radio channels here, a smoother logistics link there. Others will be deeper, clearer chains of command, more refined tactics for countering unmanned threats, an improved sense of what works in joint operations. What remains is the message that the exercise sought to convey: that alliances can be practiced and strengthened, that new capabilities, particularly unmanned systems, are reshaping operational thinking, and that real-world conflicts have become laboratories whose lessons must be studied and adapted to new contexts. As one participant put it in plain language, the drills are about both partnership and preparation to enhance interoperability and to develop and train joint operational procedures. In the end, these are human endeavors with machines and maps at their center. They are calculated attempts to reduce uncertainty in a dangerous world. They are signals sent and signals received, and they are reminders that security is not static but an ongoing project, one that requires technical skill, political will, and the daily work of people learning to act together when it counts. As the sun sets on the exercise, the beach offers a final image, a line of footprints heading back toward the road, toward ships, and toward airfields. Each print is evidence of presence, of practice, and of a shared commitment to prepare for a future in which the character of war is changing, but in which people working shoulder to shoulder still matter most.